These videos cover my build of the alternative wooden IOM yacht. This is the first build I have done on boats. Most of my experience building models is on RC planes, so this was a completely different experience. I have to thank lots of people who help from my club and build notes on the Corby. The first stage was to purchase the design documents from Brad Gibson, of which this is the details, for the hull shape and shadow templates. These are the shadows built by the company that converted the drawings into CAD, and laser cut them taking into account the thickness of the planks. The next stage is to assemble a building board to place the shadows down accurately based on the design drawings. The key thing is to mark out the position of the shadows and the center line on the board before assembling. I used Fusion 360 to create an additional shadow for the bow and transom to give some extra strength. The transom piece was an outline rather than a full section. I cut these out using a laser cutter. I also used Fusion 360 to design the necessary shapes for the bulkhead and upper deck. I purchased cedar planks with 9mm width, with some additional vintage pieces to give me a darker light effect from the gunnel. The shadows were glued down onto the build board, and I started the build from the gunnel. At this stage I glued on a piece of veneer to the transom, to ensure I ended up with the correct length, and to ensure the planks covered the end of the yacht. To assist with the build I put tape over the top of the shadows, to stop the planks from sticking to them. Also I made some wooden aids to hold the planks to the shadows, and these would be held down with clamps, and also tape to hold them together tightly. I also put a vertical piece of wood in front of the bow shadow to allow me to shape and hold the planks at the bow end. Before getting too far into the build, I created a spreadsheet to ensure I knew how much to shave off the planks at each shadow. This was to ensure I could get them all fitting into the hull. This was updated after every plank was glued down so as to make adjustments. To shave off the correct material from the plank, I installed a U-shaped aluminium section, and I marked on the plank the height I was looking for, and then installed it into the U section using pieces of wood to raise it above the top of the section. This allowed me then to shave off the excess wood down to the metal section. The next three pictures show some of the build and use of tape and clamps. After having started at the gunnel and built up to the chine, I then focused on the center plank, and building back down from that part of the hull. One of the main reasons was to ensure the bow planks were of the correct size and I could shape it round that bottom section of the bow. The first picture shows the finished yacht with no cleaning up. The second picture was how it looked after sanding, to remove glue and other defects, and then adding the fiberglass to the hull. The last picture is the completed hull, with fiberglass trimmed and 2 layers of epoxy.